If you've left a narcissistic person and you don't feel like yourself anymore, this episode is going to help you understand how a narcissist can steal your light and what you can do to begin to find yourself again after a trauma bond. Hi, and welcome back. One of the things that happens in the aftermath of a narcissistic relationship is really this identity loss, this identity crisis of who am I? Who am I now? Because you likely became a different person throughout this relationship with your narcissistic ex. Maybe before him, you were really confident being on your own, and you could run meetings and manage teams and multitask like a mother. You could solve problems that would make most people's heads spin. But now you panic at the question if somebody asks you if you like your coffee black. And that's what a trauma bond does to you. It doesn't just break your heart. It slowly whittles away your identity and your confidence and your strength to the point where you don't recognize the woman that you are anymore. So today I'm going to explain to you how that happens and how you can begin to find your way back. What I really want you to take away from this episode is understanding exactly how losing yourself in a trauma bond is not because you're weak or you wanted to. It's actually a very psychological manipulation, a setup, in other words, that you didn't stand a chance against with a narcissist. I want you to understand why this rebuilding feels so overwhelming and so undoable, even though you are a very high achieving, ambitious, you have created a life for yourself through solving problems. But for some reason, this one feels really big and really hard. And finally, from what we're going to talk about today, I want you to learn the shift that actually moves you out of self-blame and judgment and back towards self-compassion so that you can become more and more of the woman that you're meant to be. And as always, at the end of the episode, I will pull an oracle card. This offers you a message that you can sort of noodle on this week and see how it resonates. See if it sparks any connections or ahas for you. Okay, so let's take a deep breath and begin. In order to really illustrate what it feels like to lose yourself so completely and slowly over this period of time that you are with a narcissist, I want to take you through one of my favorite metaphors. If you have not caught on already, I use a lot of metaphors that involve water. And this dawned on me when I was dropping my daughter off at daycare this morning. I'm like, oh, maybe it's because I'm a water sign. So I'm a Scorpio and my rising sign is Cancer. So I'm very water based. If that makes any sense to you, awesome. If not, just forget it. But a lot of my metaphors involve water. Okay, so I want you to imagine yourself before you met your narcissistic ex. Imagine you being on an island. And this island is an island that you got to curate with all of your favorite things. So this is really the island of you. It has all your favorite music. It has all your favorite food. It has all your favorite hobbies. All your favorite people are there. The family that you love are there, and the family that you don't care to be with are not there. It's a very curated place where when you're on this island, you feel grounded, you feel creative, you feel courageous, you feel like you could take on the world. When you're in this island, you feel like yourself, and you love this island. And one day, you're on your island, and you're sitting, and you're looking out at the turquoise blue water, and all of a sudden, you see a boat start to approach you. There's a sailboat coming your way, and you are curious about the sailboat. And as the sailboat gets closer, you start to be able to see the sailor that's standing on the front of the ship. And he's standing there in his Captain Morgan pose with his cute little sailor outfit, and you are just like, whoa, who is this guy? Who is he? How is he finding his way to my island? You feel immediate butterflies in your stomach. You're so interested to go and talk to this sailor. So he docks the boat and he's walking down the dock and he comes and he finds you and you just immediately are swooned. You're amazed by how beautiful this man is. And as he's talking to you, he's so nice and he's so complimentary of your island. And he's telling you that he really wants to explore, that he's here to really understand this island. He's an explorer and he wants to be here and he wants to take in all of the magic that you have so thoughtfully curated on this island. There's a lot of compliments about how wonderful this island is. And as he's adventuring, he's really taking on all of the hobbies and all of the food and all of the things that you love. And you're watching this and you're like, wow, is this real life? How is he liking every single thing that I like? How is this feeling so easy, so euphoric, so absolutely incredible? And as you guys are having a very romantic picnic on the beach one evening, he brings up to you that he wants to go on an adventure. And he wants to go on an adventure with you. So he says, how do you feel about coming on my sailboat? I've spent a lot of time on your island, and I'd really like to show you my sailboat. I'd really like to take you to these other magical places that I've found. And of course, because he has really connected with you and shown interest in your life, and you feel really attached to him already, you're like, of course, yes, let's go on an adventure. And so the next morning, you get on his boat and you sail away and you sort of say your goodbye for now to your island, but you're so excited. You're so excited to see what this is going to be like with him. As you sail, things are really fun. He's showing you what life is like on the boat. He has all of these cool games that he plays. He's showing you how he fishes for his fish for his dinner and how he really lives day to day on this boat. And it's just the two of you. And it feels really romantic. It feels like this beautiful, wonderful, charismatic man has chosen you and wants to just pour his desirability and his love all over you. You guys are having amazing sex on this boat. It feels like a dream. And that lasts for a little bit of time. And then you start to get a little bit homesick. And you start to not really love being so confined on this boat. You're used to having a lot of space on an island. And so being on a boat is, after some time, you're like, can we stop at an island and go and actually do this exploring that you were talking about? And so you start trying to ask for needs to be met. A need to stop at an island, a need to get off the boat for a little while, a need to experience some other people like he had promised in the beginning. You think that, of course, this man is going to care about my needs. He's such a wonderful person. But things have started shifting. And when you start asking for these things, he starts making remarks like, oh, you're just so needy. Why can't you just be happy on this boat? Or, you're really asking for a lot here. I'm doing so much for you by bringing you on my boat and sharing all my supplies with you. I need you to chill out. He's starting to say some things that just start to make you really confused. And then the more that you sort of try to dip your toe in that water of, hey, I think this will be really fun, or hey, I see an island over there, let's stop, he starts being more blatantly rude and blatantly mean. And then you start to feel really trapped. So you're on this boat alone with this man, and it suddenly dawns on you that you are very far away from your island, that you have really adopted all of the food that he likes. You've really started to do all the activities that just have to be of survival of living on a boat. You've learned how to put up the sail. You've learned how to figure out the ropes. You've learned how to fish for your food. You're starting to live in this very survival place. And this isn't feeling fun anymore. So there starts to be a lot of fighting. And this feels even scarier because you feel so isolated on this boat. In order to try to keep the peace or not make him freak out totally, you backtrack on the things that you want and you submit and say, I'm sorry, this is my fault. I should just need less. And when you say things like that, he responds with something like, you're making all the problems. Just get off of this fucking boat if you don't want to be on this boat. Why don't you just go ahead and jump? He's really led you to believe that all of the reasons that you're fighting, all of the reasons for your discontent, all of the reasons that you have any needs at all is because you are somehow flawed. You are somehow too much or not enough. And you start to believe this. So you grab this tiny little lifesaver buoy and you jump off the boat. You're like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I have to go. And what does he do? He sails away. So you are in the middle of the ocean, no islands in sight, and you're watching the one thing that had kept you safe, right? You had a physical safety on this boat with this man, even though it was feeling really uncomfortable and painful, and it's sailing away. And you're stuck there, not knowing how to get back to your island and feeling really confused with thoughts of, how did I get here? How did I get here floating alone in the middle of the ocean? How did I trust this man? And then he turned out to be somebody totally separate. You feel really untethered. You feel really lost. Your first connection to safety, your island, is far gone. Your second connection to safety that became about survival is sailing away, and you are there left alone in the middle of the ocean. So if you are coming out of a narcissistic relationship, or you have been with a narcissist and you are feeling really lost, this makes total sense. You have been slowly redirected from all of the things that made you feel really tethered, that made you feel really grounded. The intention with manipulation and gaslighting is to make you more malleable, is to make you more controllable, because narcissists really thrive on being in control and they thrive on validation. So him taking you away from your island was him playing the part of this beautiful, charismatic sailor who was coming to take you on these grand adventures. It was really him putting you in a place of looking up to him, seeing how amazing he was. He was creating these experiences so that you would validate how wonderful he is, how sexy he is, how loving he is, all of this validation pouring onto him, which is a form of control. It really creates that connection of this man is amazing, so that when things start to shift, you start to really question yourself. And when things start to shift, he's saying things that make you question yourself. And the more that you're questioning your needs and the validity and your intelligence, the farther you're getting away from your grasp of who you are and what is real, which is why abuse from a narcissist is so insidious, because it's not just the bruises on your skin. It is the losing of your mind. It's the losing of your identity. And that is why when you are at a barbecue and somebody's making small talk with you and they say, well, what shows are you watching? What shows do you like? You completely freeze, because all of a sudden you don't actually know that answer. Maybe in the relationship, he chose all of the shows, which was actually the case in my relationship with my narcissistic ex, where we watched a lot of psychological thrillers, which is ironic and disturbing in so many ways now knowing what he's capable of. But I really thought I liked that. I thought that I liked that sort of thrill and that chaos and that rush that you get by watching those types of shows. And since then living post-separation abuse from him, I can no longer watch those shows. And so it really was a strange shift for me of, well, did I ever really like that? Or was that just something that he wanted to watch? So I wanted to watch what he wanted to watch. What I uncovered through my healing was I was watching those things. I was letting him choose all of the shows. I was letting him run that part of our relationship and so many parts of our relationship because I just wanted him happy. I just wanted to do the things that he wanted to do to avoid the backlash that was going to come if I tried to insert something. So it's not uncommon to freeze when someone asks you a question like that and you don't have an answer. What is your favorite show? What's your favorite ice cream flavor? Like, do you like your coffee black? These questions feel revolutionary because you're like, fuck, I don't actually know. And usually what happens as you're having these awarenesses of how far away you got from your island is a lot of anger. And when someone asks you a question like that, there's an immediate self-judgment of, I should know the answer to this. What the fuck is wrong with me that I don't know if I like my coffee black? Thinking things like, I was such a strong and independent woman. I used to know exactly what I wanted. I used to not take any bullshit. I used to love being single, and now I feel like I'm a shell of a person. A woman recently told me that she feels like a ghost. She feels like a stressed out ghost. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. And the self-judgment comes across as, how did I let him manipulate me like this? This is my fault that I let him do this. Not his fault because he was manipulating you, but it's the self-judgment of, I should have seen it. I should have known better. I should have stopped it. I shouldn't have believed him. It's a lot of shame and it's a lot of self-blame. And so you're feeling lost, you're feeling the self-judgment, and you're feeling stupid, right? You're like, just blatantly, you're feeling, why can't I figure this out? I'm no longer with him. I'm no longer under his control. I should know how to just get back to myself immediately. What I hear a lot from women who come into my intro sessions because they're interested in my program Becoming is that it's just taking so long. Like, why is it taking so long to figure this shit out, to make sense of what happened, to let go of him? They think that now that they're no longer in the relationship, that they should just snap back to who they were before the relationship. And so they feel really stupid, especially when they can see themselves and how competent and intelligent and skilled they are at problem solving at work or in other parts of their life. So they feel like this huge incongruence, this huge disconnect, and it's really an uncomfortable place to be. So then what do you start to believe about yourself? If you're feeling super lost, if you are angry at yourself and have all of this self-judgment, if you're feeling stupid, likely what you're believing is something is wrong with you. You let this happen. And not only that, but you are too stupid to ever figure out how to find yourself again. This is a thing that you've lost forever, and you're going to be stuck here forever. It's just this constant beating yourself up for not seeing it, or for not taking it seriously, or for not walking away, and for not feeling like yourself immediately after the breakup. So shame is like the most common wave of emotion, the wave of experience that can really make you feel like you're being sucked underwater after these relationships end. There's so much shame and self-blame. And let me explain to you why this is not working. Why being in this place is keeping you feeling stuck, and is keeping you feeling stupid, and is keeping you feeling like there's no way through to get back to who you were before. There's two main reasons here. The first is that you are taking on someone else's blame. You are taking the accountability for being manipulated. And I want you to just think about that for a minute, because when you have this awareness of there being manipulation in the relationship, what should happen is you say, wow, he is abusive. He has been manipulating me for years. What actually happens, and this happened to me too, is that we take on the blame for being manipulated. I shouldn't have put myself in that situation. I should have seen it coming, right? I should have seen through his lies. This is such practiced behavior in the relationship. So I really want you to hear that, because again, it's not that you're stupid, that you're taking on someone else's blame. It's not that anything's wrong with you. It's that you were taught in the relationship to take blame for everything. Think back to the relationship. Was there ever a moment that he could take genuine accountability? That he could show up and say, oh, I fucked up. That was my fault. I'm sorry. And it not be part of a ploy to just pull you back in? Was there ever a true repair that happened? If you're with a narcissist, that will never happen, because they don't take accountability. They blame shift, they manipulate, they gaslight, they make you feel confused and crazy enough to just take all of the accountability, to shut up and take the blame, because that is easier than continuing to create fights with this person. So it's practiced. You've learned how to take accountability for everything. So you're taking accountability for the manipulation, and it's not yours to take accountability for. Which leads into the second reason that this isn't working, which is self-judgment is the barrier, is the block to your healing. Because you staying in self-judgment is inherently preventing you from being able to process what happened. And you need to process what happened in order to let it go, and in order to start to figure out who you are outside of this relationship. I really want you to hear this, that what you're doing makes sense. The self-blame, the anger at yourself, and feeling really lost because of the manipulation all makes a lot of sense. But that is not going to get you where you want to go in being able to really feel like yourself again. And the longer that you stay there, the longer that he has control over you, even without being in a relationship with you. So think about that. He's still able to make you believe that everything is your fault, to keep you in the self-judgment place, which removes him from having to take any accountability. When I had this realization, when I was right out of the relationship with my ex, he had said something that was so cruel, alluding to how much control he had over me for so long. And it was that exact moment I got that text message from him. It was before I went no contact. And I emailed my therapist immediately, and I was like, we need to go deep, and we need to remove him from my brain. I need to process the trauma of him, because I refuse to let him have control of my brain and my life any longer. It became a very clear moment for me of, this might be painful to process everything, but it's more painful to live in a place where he still has influence on the way that I think about myself and the way that I'm showing up in the world. So the longer that you stay stuck, the longer that it is him having control over you in the same way that he had control over you in the relationship. What's also happening here, if you're staying stuck, is that you're not in the relationship anymore, but you're not actually healing. You're stuck in this limbo space. And limbo spaces or voids or being in the middle of the ocean by yourself is inherently uncomfortable and scary. The longer that you are stuck in this middle place of not being able to find the closure and the understanding from the relationship in order to move on, the longer you're delaying this really panicky, uncomfortable middle space. What maybe is, I don't know, these are all equally important, but if you want to be in a healthy relationship at some point, really asking yourself, is staying stuck here in this place of self-judgment and anger and taking accountability going to help me get where I want to go? Because also a lot of women who become clients of mine, one of their driving reasons is, I want to figure out my shit and I want to figure out why I was attracted to a man like that so that it never happens again. Because they do really want to be in a healthy relationship at some point. It might not be tomorrow or next month, but living a life with somebody in a healthy way is a goal. And so if you're staying stuck in the same pattern in the relationship and in this limbo space, it's not letting you move forward. It's not letting you start to write the next chapter of the story. It's not letting you get back to your island where you can meet this healthy, amazing person. It's keeping you stuck in the middle of the ocean. So what you need, because this has been so practiced in the relationship, you need a space where you can come to have somebody help you understand what's happening. Because you trying to do this by yourself is like you trying to get out of a maze that you've been living in forever. You can't see it from above. You can't see like, okay, you got to take this turn and this turn, and then you do this, and then you can find the exit over there. You're just stuck in the maze. And so you need someone who's outside of it, who can help you make sense of what you're feeling, validate the realness of that, and help shift you out of this taking responsibility for his behavior and really everybody's behavior, because most likely you're also a people pleaser or you're also codependent in some way. And I say with love because I was too. And so many of my clients are. It's just typically a character trait of women who find themselves with these type of men. So having a space such as the way that I hold for my clients to help you shift out of that responsibility, learn how to set healthy boundaries, learn how to build your self-worth so that you're not externally seeking validation, that's all really going to benefit you. And the work that I do with clients is also going to give you the tool that you need to get out of the self-judgment and into self-compassion, which then will allow you to build self-trust and self-love, which again creates a very healthy foundation for you to be in a relationship at some point. The basis of what I do with my clients is with nervous system work, with emotional processing, with helping them find clarity around what happened and reprogramming, rewiring beliefs that they have, is to help them heal from what happened so that they can become more and more of who they are. The program is called Becoming because I want to help you become more and more of you and less of the version of you that he put you into, the version of you that he whittled you down to. This is your time to reclaim all of your energy and your space and yourself. And so if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you just can't figure yourself out, you can't get yourself out of that limbo space, please schedule an intro session with me. The link is in the show notes. It is totally free. This is a time where we'll meet on Zoom. You can share exactly where you are. I will give you some clarity around what I see as the reasons that you are stuck. And if my program is aligned, we can talk about how my program Becoming can help you really become more and more of who you are. So that link is in the show notes. Okay. And finally, as always, we're going to pull an oracle card to see what the message is for today. And what came out is the sacred union. So I'm going to find this in the book and I'll read to you what it says. Relationships are how we grow. They cradle and stretch us through connection and division, love and hurt, compassion and separation. They invite us to return again and again to the most important relationship we'll ever have, the one with ourself, the sacred union that's been waiting within. Ancient mystery teachings whisper secrets of sacred unions, sacred marriage in early Christian mysticism, and Kabbalah and sexual alchemy in ancient Egyptian teachings. We're familiar with mystic couples such as Isis and Osiris, but we have a sacred masculine and feminine within. A sacred union through external relationship is always an invitation to deepen the union within. Every relationship can be seen as an invitation to deepen connection with the beloved within, even our most challenging relationships, especially the most challenging ones. The sacred union isn't just between you and another, it's returning to yourself. And when we return to ourselves, we also return to humanity as a whole. Maybe you're being invited to grow through relationships. Perhaps you feel like you're being tested or stretched, or find yourself longing for something external. This is an invitation to deepen the connection within, to embrace yourself fully and treat yourself like the most precious person on the planet. The more embraced you feel, the easier it is to embrace others. There's a soul inquiry at the end of this description, and it says, how can you embrace yourself more? It's always perfect. I never pre-poll these. I know I say that every episode, but I never pre-poll them. I hope that gave you something to hold on to. And I want you to listen to this episode over and over and over again if you need some validation of why you feel so far away from yourself. And please schedule that intro session, because you don't have to stay lost and in self-judgment and in self-anger and criticism. You don't have to let him remain in control of your brain for any longer. I see you, I'm with you, and until I see you in that intro session or the next episode, please remember that you're not alone.